the perfect facade. The aroma of cardamom and cinnamon filled the elegant apartment as Ananya Sharma carefully arranged the dessert platter. Vikram would be home in 20 minutes with his colleagues, and everything needed to be flawless. She adjusted her silk kurta and checked her reflection in the dining room mirror, smoothing an invisible wrinkle from her forehead. "Deepa, have you finished polishing the silver?" Ananya called out. Deepa Kaur, their housekeeper of 2 years, emerged from the kitchen. "Yes, Mem Sahib, everything is ready." At 35, Deepa had a quiet dignity about her. Her observant eyes missed little, though she kept her thoughts to herself. Vikram and Ananya had welcomed her into their Bangalore home when she needed work after moving from Punjab, and she felt a deep gratitude toward them both. "Thank you, Deepa. You can go home early today if you'd like," Ananya said, adjusting a flower arrangement. "No, Mem Sahib. I'll stay to help with the guests." The doorbell rang precisely at 7. Vikram Sharma entered, his gentle eyes lighting up at the sight of his wife. At 37, he had built a respectable software consulting business, but his proudest achievement remained winning Ananya's heart 5 years ago. "The place looks beautiful," he whispered, kissing her cheek. Behind him, 3 colleagues admired the apartment. "Gentlemen, welcome to our humble home," Ananya said with practiced grace. "Please, make yourselves comfortable." Deepa watched from the kitchen doorway as Ananya transformed into the perfect hostess. She served drinks, laughed at the right moments, and told stories that made everyone feel at ease. Vikram kept glancing at his wife with undisguised adoration. "You're a lucky man, Sharma," one colleague commented. "My wife would never go to such trouble." "I thank my stars every day," Vikram replied, squeezing Ananya's hand. Later, as dinner concluded, Deepa overheard a guest asking Ananya about her family. "Only a brother in Chennai," Ananya replied smoothly. "Our parents passed away years ago." Deepa paused while collecting plates. She had never heard Ananya mention a brother before. After the guests departed, Vikram helped clear the table despite Ananya's protests. "You've done enough," he insisted. "The dinner was perfect. You're perfect." Deepa noticed how Ananya's smile tightened almost imperceptibly. That night, as Deepa prepared to leave, she found Ananya alone in the kitchen, staring at her phone with an expression of profound sadness. When Ananya noticed Deepa, she quickly locked the screen. "Is everything all right, Mem Sahib?" Deepa asked. "Of course," Ananya replied, her composure returning instantly. "Just tired from hosting." Walking home to her small room in a nearby building, Deepa replayed the evening in her mind. The beautiful apartment, the devoted husband, the perfect wife. Yet something felt off, like a slightly crooked painting that everyone pretended was straight. 2 days later, Deepa was dusting the bedroom when Ananya's phone rang. Ananya had stepped into the shower moments before. The caller ID read, "Hospital." Without thinking, Deepa answered. "Mrs. Sharma? This is Lakshmi Hospital. We're calling about your Tuesday appointment." "She's unavailable," Deepa replied. "I can take a message. Please inform her that Dr. Gupta needs to reschedule her father's treatment consultation." Deepa felt a chill. Her father? But Ananya had told everyone her parents were dead. "I will tell her," Deepa said quietly, hanging up. That evening, she observed Ananya with new eyes, the careful way she deleted messages before Vikram came home, the locked drawer in her desk, the mysterious appointments every Tuesday afternoon, the perfect Ananya Sharma was hiding something, and Deepa, despite her best intentions, was now part of the secret. Hidden patterns. The following Tuesday, Deepa watched as Ananya prepared to leave the apartment. She wore a simple cotton salwar kameez instead of her usual designer clothes, and carried a cloth bag filled with containers of homemade food. "I'll be at yoga class until 6, Deepa. Please tell Vikram I'll be home to make dinner," Ananya said, adjusting her dupatta. "Yes, Mem Sahib," Deepa replied, noticing there was no yoga mat, no exercise clothes in sight. Once Ananya left, Deepa continued, her housework with unusual attention to detail. She dusted the bookshelf in Ananya's study, deliberately lingering near the locked drawer. What secrets did it hold? The hospital call about Ananya's father, supposedly long deceased, had disturbed her sleep for days. Deepa had always prided herself on her discretion. In her previous positions with wealthy families in Punjab, she had witnessed arguments, infidelities, and financial troubles, yet had never betrayed a confidence. But something about this situation felt different. Vikram treated her with such respect, always asking about her son studying engineering in Chandigarh, remembering her birthday when even she forgot it. As she vacuumed the bedroom, her eyes fell on Ananya's vanity table. A small brass key glinted behind a bottle of perfume. Deepa's hands trembled as she picked it up. It couldn't be that simple, could it? She returned to the study and tried the key in the locked drawer. It turned with a soft click. Inside lay a stack of medical bills from Lakshmi Hospital, all for one Rajesh Mathur. Patient notes mentioned advancing Alzheimer's and physical therapy following stroke. Beneath these were photographs, a younger Ananya with an older couple standing before a modest home with peeling paint. The woman wore simple clothes, the man a government worker's uniform. Most revealing was a bank book showing monthly transfers to Lakshmi Hospital, large sums that would explain why Ananya always seemed anxious when Vikram discussed their finances. Deepa carefully replaced everything and locked the drawer, her mind racing. Ananya wasn't having an affair. She was supporting her father, a father she had told Vikram was dead. Over the next 3 weeks, Deepa noticed more patterns. Every Tuesday, Ananya disappeared for hours. She took frequent private calls in the bathroom with the shower running. Once Deepa glimpsed her counting medication into a small pill organizer, not for herself, clearly. One evening, while preparing dinner, Deepa overheard a conversation between the couple. "I was thinking we could visit Chennai next month," Vikram suggested. "You haven't seen your brother in ages." Ananya's knife paused over the vegetables. "He's very busy. Maybe next year would be better." "You always say that," Vikram said, his voice gentle but confused. "Is everything okay between you two?" "Of course," Ananya replied too quickly. "It's just complicated." Later that night, Deepa found Ananya on the balcony, silently crying. Without a word, Deepa handed her a cup of ginger tea. "Thank you," Ananya whispered, wiping her eyes. "Mem Sahib," Deepa said cautiously. "Sometimes sharing burdens makes them lighter." Ananya looked at her sharply. "What do you mean?" "Nothing," Deepa replied. "Just that you seem troubled lately." "I'm fine," Ananya insisted, straightening her shoulders. "Just tired." The following Tuesday, Deepa made an impulsive decision. When Ananya left for her yoga class, Deepa followed at a discreet distance. They boarded the same bus, Deepa hiding behind other passengers. 20 minutes later, Ananya disembarked near Lakshmi Hospital. Deepa watched from across the street as Ananya entered the long-term care facility attached to the hospital. Through the large windows, she could see Ananya greeting an elderly man in a wheelchair, his vacant expression brightening momentarily at her arrival. Now Deepa understood. But why would Ananya hide this from her husband? What shame was there in caring for one's father? That evening, as Deepa prepared to leave, Vikram called her into his study. "Deepa, is my wife happy?" he asked suddenly. The question caught her off guard. "Sir, I feel she's pulling away," he continued, his voice heavy with concern. "She seems distracted, worried. Does she ever say anything to you?" Deepa stood frozen, loyalty to both employers warring within her. She thought of the tenderness she had witnessed that afternoon, Ananya feeding her father, reading to him, brushing his thin hair with such gentle hands. "Sir, I think," Deepa began, then faltered. "I think Mem Sahib carries many responsibilities." Vikram looked at her expectantly, waiting for more. Deepa made her decision. "Perhaps you should ask her about Tuesdays," she said quietly. The revelation. The next morning, tension hung in the apartment like monsoon humidity. Vikram had been unusually quiet at breakfast, his eyes following Ananya with questions he hadn't yet voiced. Deepa moved through her chores with a knot in her stomach, wondering if she had made a terrible mistake. By afternoon, Ananya was preparing for her Tuesday ritual, placing containers of food in her cloth bag. "I'll be at yoga until 6, she told Deepa, the familiar lie now heavy between them. Deepa nodded, avoiding her eyes. Minutes after Ananya left, Vikram emerged from his study, car keys in hand. "I have an errand," he said simply. "I might be late." Deepa watched from the window as his car pulled away, following the same route Ananya had taken. Her hands trembled as she washed the lunch dishes. What would happen now? Would she lose her position? Would this destroy the Sharma marriage? Hours passed with excruciating slowness. Deepa polished already gleaming surfaces, reorganized perfectly organized cupboards, anything to keep her hands busy. When her phone rang, she nearly dropped it. "Deepa?" Vikram's voice sounded strange. "Please pack a small overnight bag for Ananya. Comfortable clothes, toiletries. I'll collect it shortly." "Is everything all right, sir?" she asked. There was a long pause. "Yes," he finally said. "Everything will be all right now." When Vikram arrived, his eyes were red-rimmed but calm. He took the bag with a nod of thanks. "We won't be home tonight," he said. "Possibly tomorrow as well." "Sir," Deepa began hesitantly. "I'm sorry if I—" Vikram raised his hand. "You did the right thing. Some truths need to be seen in daylight." After he left, Deepa sat on the kitchen floor and cried for Ananya's secret burden, for Vikram's obvious pain, for her own role in this unfolding drama. She had respected the Sharmas, perhaps even loved them in her way. Had she destroyed something precious? The apartment felt empty that night, hollow with absence. Deepa stayed late, unable to leave this space that had become more than a workplace to her. Near midnight, her phone lit up with a message from Vikram. "We're at Lakshmi Hospital. Ananya's father had another stroke. We're staying with him tonight." Deepa stared at the screen, relief washing over her. Vikram was with Ananya. He hadn't abandoned her in this crisis. Perhaps there was hope. The next evening, the Sharmas returned together. Ananya looked exhausted but somehow lighter, as if a great weight had shifted. When she saw Deepa, she stopped, uncertain. "Mem Sahib," Deepa began, "I'm so sorry about your father." "Is he stable?" Ananya replied softly. "Thank you." Vikram placed his hand on his wife's shoulder. "Deepa, would you join us for tea? There's much to discuss." In the living room, Ananya spoke first, her voice stronger than Deepa expected. "You followed me. You told Vikram." It wasn't a question, but Deepa answered anyway. "Yes, Mem Sahib. I was worried for you both." "Why didn't you tell me yourself?" Vikram asked gently, turning to his wife. Ananya's composure finally cracked. "How could I? You married the daughter of a respected professor and his accomplished wife, the story I invented. Not the daughter of a junior clerk and a housemaid from a slum in Dharavi." "You thought I would care about that?" Vikram asked incredulously. "Your family has expectations," Ananya whispered. "When we met, you spoke of traditions, bloodlines, proper upbringing. I was afraid." Vikram looked stricken. "So you created this perfect background, this fiction of deceased parents. And then my father got sick," Ananya continued. "Alzheimer's, then the first stroke. I couldn't abandon him, but I couldn't tell you either. The lie had grown too big." Deepa watched as Vikram took his wife's hands in his. "Yesterday," he said, "I watched you feed your father with such patience. I saw how his eyes followed you, how you spoke to him with such respect despite his confusion. That moment revealed more about you, the real you, than 5 years of our marriage." Broken mirrors. The following weeks brought seismic shifts to the Sharma household. Rajesh Mathur was discharged from the hospital and, at Vikram's insistence, moved into their guest bedroom. The elegant apartment, once a showcase of perfection, now accommodated a hospital bed, medical equipment, and the constant presence of a part-time nurse. Deepa observed these changes with cautious optimism. The atmosphere had transformed, the pressure of perfection replaced by something messier but more authentic. Still, tensions simmered beneath the surface. Vikram and Ananya spoke politely but rarely touched. They moved around each other with the careful choreography of dancers afraid to misstep. One evening, Deepa overheard them arguing in their bedroom. 5 years, Ananya," Vikram's voice carried through the door. 5 years of marriage built on a foundation of lies." "Not everything was a lie," Ananya responded, her voice thick with tears. "My feelings for you were always real." "How can I know that? How can I trust anything now?" Deepa winced at the pain in his voice. She moved away, not wanting to intrude further. The next morning, Ananya approached Deepa in the kitchen, her eyes shadowed from lack of sleep. "I owe you an explanation," she said, sitting at the counter. "About why I lied." Deepa shook her head. "Mem Sahib, you don't owe me anything." "I do," Ananya insisted. "You're part of this house now. You should understand." She told Deepa about growing up in Dharavi, Mumbai's largest slum, about her father working double shifts to fund her education, about changing her accent, her mannerisms, reinventing herself as she climbed through university on scholarships, about meeting Vikram at a conference where she was presenting research. "He came from such privilege," Ananya explained. "When he asked about my family, I panicked. I created the parents I thought he deserved, educated, sophisticated, conveniently deceased, so he'd never have to meet them." "And your brother in Chennai?" Deepa asked. "Fiction," Ananya admitted. "I'm an only child." That afternoon, Rajesh had a difficult episode, not recognizing Ananya and becoming agitated. Deepa watched as Ananya calmed him with practiced movements, speaking softly in Marathi, a language Deepa had never heard her use before. Vikram stood in the doorway, watching. When Rajesh finally settled, Vikram approached his father-in-law and gently adjusted his blanket. "He has your smile," he said to Ananya. "When he's calm, I can see the resemblance." It was the first personal observation he'd made in days. Ananya looked up in surprise. "You think so?" she asked softly. "Yes, and your determination. The nurse told me he tries to walk every day despite the pain." A small moment of connection, fragile as a soap bubble. That night, Deepa stayed late to help with dinner. As she prepared to leave, she found Vikram in his study, staring at old wedding photos. "Sir," she said gently, "may I speak freely?" He nodded, looking tired. "When I first came to work here, I thought this was a perfect home. Now I see it's a real home." Vikram frowned. "Real homes aren't built on deception, Deepa." "No," she agreed. "But real love isn't built on perfection either." She hesitated, then continued. "My husband left me when our son was 3. He said I wasn't the woman he thought he married. Perhaps he was right. People change. Or perhaps they were never who we imagined." "What are you saying?" "That Mem Sahib hid her past because she thought you loved an illusion. Perhaps now you can love the real person, the one who cares for her father with such devotion." Later that week, a visitor arrived, an elegant older woman whom Vikram introduced as his mother. Deepa watched anxiously as she was shown to Rajesh's room. What would this sophisticated lady think of her son's father-in-law from the slums? Hours passed. When Deepa served tea, she found Vikram's mother sitting beside Rajesh's bed, showing him family photos. "My son was such a serious child," she was telling him. "Always with his books. Your daughter brought laughter back to him." Rajesh nodded, one of his lucid moments. "My Ananya," he said with pride. "Always the smartest in her class." That evening, before leaving, Vikram's mother took Ananya's hands. "My dear," she said, "thank you for taking such good care of your father. It speaks volumes about the woman you are." After she left, Deepa found Ananya on the balcony, crying again. But these seemed like different tears. "She knew," Ananya whispered, when Deepa approached. "Vikram told her everything, and she still embraced my father. Still treated me like a daughter." "Because you are her daughter now," Deepa said simply. That night, passing the master bedroom, Deepa heard something she hadn't heard in weeks. Ananya's laughter, followed by Vikram's deeper chuckle. A small sound, but significant, like the first raindrops before the healing monsoon. Growing together. 6 months later, the Sharma apartment had transformed completely. The formal dining room had been converted into a comfortable bedroom for Rajesh, whose condition had stabilized with consistent care. Family photos now lined the hallway, not just polished portraits, but candid snapshots spanning decades, including several faded pictures of Ananya as a child with her parents in front of their Dharavi home. Deepa noticed how Vikram would often pause before these older photos, studying them with genuine interest rather than the discomfort she had initially feared. The glossy veneer of perfection had been replaced by something far more valuable: authenticity. One Tuesday afternoon, Deepa arrived to find Vikram working from home, helping his father-in-law with physical therapy exercises while simultaneously conducting a business call. He had adapted to this new reality with unexpected grace, learning basic Marathi to communicate better with Rajesh during his confused episodes. "Deepa," Vikram called out when he saw her. "Good news. We've found a larger apartment, 3 bedrooms, ground floor, small garden, better for Papa's wheelchair." The casual use of Papa for his father-in-law still surprised Deepa. The transformation in their relationship had been remarkable to witness. What began as obligation had evolved into genuine affection. Later that afternoon, Ananya returned from work. She had finally accepted a research position she'd long desired, but had previously declined, fearing it would interfere with her perfect wife image. Now she balanced career and family with Vikram's full support. "Papa had a good day," Vikram told her, handing her a cup of tea, a small ritual he had taken up in recent months. "The doctor thinks he might be stable enough to attend the housewarming," Ananya replied, the hope in her voice unmistakable. That evening, as Deepa prepared dinner, she overheard the couple in the living room. "I was thinking," Vikram said, "after we move, perhaps we could look into adoption." Deepa froze, knife poised over vegetables. "Really?" Ananya's voice was breathless. "You'd want that? Even with Papa needing care?" "Especially with Papa here," Vikram replied. "Children should know their grandparents. And Papa would benefit from having a child around, something to connect him to the present." Deepa resumed chopping, smiling to herself. How far they had come from those tense days after the revelation. The following Sunday, the Sharmas hosted a small gathering, not the formal affairs of the past, but a casual lunch with close friends and family. Deepa, invited as a guest rather than staff, watched as Ananya introduced her father to everyone without a hint of the shame that had once consumed her. "My father was a government clerk," she explained to a colleague who asked about his career. "He worked 2 jobs to put me through engineering school." The pride in her voice was unmistakable. Across the room, Vikram nodded approvingly, his eyes never leaving his wife. Later, as guests departed, Rajesh experienced a moment of clarity. He beckoned Deepa closer to his wheelchair. "You helped my daughter," he said, his voice wavering but his eyes sharp. "When you told the truth." Deepa was startled. "You know about that?" He nodded slowly. "Sometimes I understand more than they think. Thank you for your courage." That evening, after Rajesh had been settled for the night, Vikram found Deepa preparing to leave. "We have something for you," he said, leading her to the living room where Ananya waited. "We want you to come with us to the new house," Ananya explained. "Not just as our housekeeper, we're converting the garden flat into a separate apartment. For you." Deepa stared at them in confusion. "But why?" "Because you're family now," Vikram said simply. "And because we want you to help us raise our child. When the adoption goes through." "You saw the truth when it was easier to look away?" Ananya added, taking Deepa's hand. "You risked everything to break the cycle of lies. That kind of wisdom. That's what we want our child to learn." As Deepa walked home that night, she reflected on the strange journey of the past year. She had come to the Sharma household seeking employment and found instead a profound lesson about truth and forgiveness. The perfect facade had cracked, revealing something far more beautiful in its imperfection. 2 weeks later, as they packed for the move, Deepa found Ananya and Vikram in their bedroom, laughing as they sorted through old photographs. "Look at this one," Ananya was saying, holding up a wedding portrait. "I was so tense, trying to be perfect." "You were beautiful," Vikram corrected. "But not as beautiful as you are now." Ananya looked up, surprised. "With all the stress lines and gray hairs?" "With all the truth," he replied, kissing her forehead. Deepa quietly backed away, leaving them to their private moment. Some things she had learned were meant to be witnessed only by those directly involved. Other truths needed to be brought into the light, painful though the process might be. In the kitchen, she found one of Rajesh's lucid notes. He sometimes wrote reminders to himself during clear moments. This one read simply, "My daughter is happy now. Remember this." Deepa folded the note carefully and placed it where Ananya would find it. Sometimes the most important truths were also the simplest. Outside, the garden was being prepared for spring, planting. New growth, new beginnings. The perfect metaphor for a family that had learned that authenticity, with all its messiness and complications, was far more valuable than the illusion of perfection.